Hello and welcome to Therapist Connect broadcasts. So I'm here with a couple of members of the team. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Kaz Binstead and I'm the co-lead here at Therapist Connect. And I'm here with my colleague Peter, who is also co-lead, and one of our team members, Bex. So over to you guys, you can introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter, co-lead at Therapist Connect. You've probably seen me at various this week. Yeah. But we can do it again. Bex, do you want to say what you do in Therapist Connect? Because
sorry.
That's right.
Obviously, I'm Bex. I am a social media volunteer and I run the Twitter account on a Thursday, and I've been helping out with these events this week as well. So
helping out a lot, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bex, what has been your kind of highlights of the week, or what have you enjoyed the most?
Oh my God, I couldn't even pick one. Like everything I've been to and everything I've been involved in has just been so enjoyable. It's been really good. I enjoyed running the speed modalities with you on Tuesday. I got a lot out of that. It was really interesting. Ruth's event was brilliant. I think we needed that after the day we had. We just needed to like chill out and relax, and that's exactly how I felt after that. There's a couple of things that I haven't been able to go to, which I'm quite disappointed about, like Susan's workshop, obviously. And we've still got loads more stuff coming up, and it looks like we've really been doing well with the amount of reach that we've had and the nice comments and stuff, which is always lovely. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had some really such lovely comments from the community, and our Twitter has been going really busy all week, and we really thank everyone for the birthday messages that people sent yesterday. Which had some really lovely birthday messages, and also just the really kind things that people have said to us, and people have messaged Peter and I, and just some really lovely things, and we're glad that everyone, well, I won't say everyone because maybe not everyone, but we're glad that people are appreciating the things that we've put on this week. Yeah, we're really happy about that. And yeah, it's kind of been just good for us as well. I think we've got quite a varied program. We very much put the program together on just the fact that we're on the ground therapists, and just kind of, I don't know, it just happened naturally in terms of what we feel is important and what we feel other therapists might like to hear or might like to kind of talk about a little bit. So yeah, so it's good that it feels like a lot of that has worked out, actually. Did you want to add anything, Peter, to that?
It was a couple of things. It's been such a fantastic week. I think as we were designing the program, I think we didn't really know, how it was going to go down, what people would like, what they wouldn't like. So the feedback's just been absolutely fantastic. I think one of my highlights, was the Susan Cousins workshop last night, which I think was absolutely brilliant. And I know that people who attended that were really keen for some more things like that in the future, which I think is brilliant. I wanted to just say a little bit of a thank you, really. I will probably do this tomorrow when we close the conference. It's just to all the therapists who have contributed to this in some way, shape or form. I think we've had over 50 therapists from around the world attend, appear, record something for some of our events, which is just phenomenal. And the majority of those people have given their time up for free. So, thank you to all of those people because they really have made this happen. Just picking up as well, Kaz, on that, what you were talking about there with kind of people wishing us birthday messages and things like that. So we put out a call out for volunteers earlier in the week. And also we've been getting like lots of messages and feedback around different events, suggestions for things to hold in the future, ideas to kind of expand things. So we just to say we are taking note of all of those, but we might not have had chance to reply to everybody yet because there's just been so many emails, so many communications. We will get back to each person over the course of the next few weeks as we kind of go through all of that, and we will make sure that we take all that feedback on board because it's really, really valuable for kind of where we go next and what we do next.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that you've said that, Peter. Actually, yeah, I've got no idea where I am with my emails. I am kind of replying to people here and there, but it's obviously a really, really busy week. I'm going to be on Friday. I'm just going to be. You won't hear from me. I'm turning my phone off for 3 days, and I'm just going to like sleep and things. And I've got another.
Are you telling me that, Kaz? Are you? Is this my?
Yeah, leave me any voice messages. I've got another week off work before I go back, so yeah, I'm not going to really be doing much for the next week, and then like Peter says, we'll definitely be getting back to people. Yeah, it's just been great to hear from folks, and great to hear people wanting to get involved and come with suggestions and all of that stuff. So yeah, thank you. And God, so many therapists have taken part this week, haven't they?
They have. It's been amazing, really. And I think because there was lots of us organising different events, I think it's really just come to my mind now. I think really as we're kind of nearly coming towards the end of the week, just how many people have actually been involved with all of that and have contributed their time and effort, and also just been really supportive of our community. I appreciate the ripples of this to kind of go a little bit further, and I know that there are therapists reaching out to each other to support each other, which, you know, myself, Kaz, the volunteers might not be fully aware of, but I know there's kind of a ripple effect happening as well, particularly people who've met in some of the workshops this week and things like that. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, because people won't know, obviously, if you weren't there, but we had our birthday celebration yesterday afternoon, which was open to anybody to kind of book on and come and attend. But we had a really international group of therapists within that event, which was just fantastic. Somebody was in Nebraska. I forgot that right. Yeah. And I'd got up at kind of 5 a.m. in the morning to kind of come along and meet everybody, which is brilliant. We had Poland, I think we had India. I think there was loads of different countries. Sorry,
Canada
and Canada as well. Yes, so it was a really international event, so which was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it was a bit unexpected, I think, actually, given the timing of the event and everything. I thought we'd have a mainly UK therapist, but it really was a global event, which was brilliant.
It really was. And maybe I'm going to pass over to Bex in a minute to talk a little bit about your experience of this event, because I just found that event, I really loved it. It was so kind of relaxed, and it was exactly just, you know, well, maybe more relaxed than we thought it might be. Just kind of people just being able to talk about what was important, just meet each other. I was saying there, someone said, I said I was in London, and then someone said, I'm in London too, but I'm in London in Canada. I was like, I didn't even know there was another London. So yeah, Bex, how did you find it?
Yeah, it was really good. Like you say, it just flowed really well. It felt really natural. It was great to connect with all of those different therapists from all over the place. And obviously, when we went out into the breakout rooms, Peter had set us specific questions to talk about. We didn't even really need them. Like, the conversation just seemed to flow really naturally, and it was really nice to have that kind of relaxed, chilled environment after such a hectic few days that we've had. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, talking about the hectic few days, this we picked up on this on Tuesday morning, Susan and I, but you know, it's obviously been quite a week, I think, for people. The new stuff about lockdown. I mean, last night, obviously, our screens were full of some quite distressing stuff going on, and you know, yeah, I just hope everyone's being able to take care, and and you know, we hope that these events are, I don't know, helping if people need them, but also, you know, we've got a lot of them being recorded, so if people don't and if people can't, it doesn't matter, you know, and you don't need to kind of say, oh sorry, I'm busy with work, or oh sorry, you know, I've got things going on. We know that, and we know there's so much going on for people, but we do hope that if people want to catch up, the ones that are on YouTube, they can, and that you know, and that the community spirit helps in some way. I really felt that yesterday. I really felt like, yeah, as Bex has just said, it's just so nice to actually have that extra level of connection. We're edging ever closer to face, not quite there yet, but
one day.
one day, right?
It's funny, Kaz, just when you were talking then about how people access it. So 2 comments which has stood out to me, which made me laugh because I hadn't really thought about it in this way before. But somebody had said they'll be really upset when the week's over because they felt like they've had a therapy TV channel on all week. So
that's an idea.
I do.
Yeah, make it a 24-hour channel.
24-hour rolling therapy. Oh gosh, don't set me off with an idea. So that made me laugh. I thought it was really lovely. But also somebody said that they hadn't watched anything all week, but they'd just been seeing the posters and everything, that they were going to binge watch everything over the weekend. And again, that wasn't something I thought I'd hear someone say, binge watching Therapists Connect. So.
Yeah, I told them to get the popcorn out. Yeah, no, so that was part of some of the really lovely messages that we had yesterday. Yeah, so Bex was picking up there earlier that she really enjoyed Ruth's workshop. So we're talking there about Ruth Allen, who ran a workshop called The Grounded Therapist. And Ruth has also got a book coming out in March called Grounded, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And then, Peter was talking about Susan Cousins, who ran our workshop yesterday, conversations about race. You know, this was, well, I mean, it could have gone on forever, couldn't it? You know, chatting about difficulties with potential racism and working with cultural, or she calls it cultural competency, you know, and I think it was really interesting that actually we didn't get through everything that she wanted to necessarily say, because people were just chatting, weren't they?
Yeah, but I think that was what was really important, because we were having conversations, and there was lots of different conversations going on, and I think it was a really I felt like it was a really supportive, safe space to be able to have those conversations. So it was a really good event. I just popped that message up on the screen, sorry, as you were talking there, because I thought it was a really lovely message, actually, from Ben. I'll put it up again. It was just saying he was kind of gutted that he couldn't make the networking event yesterday, and hoping there'll be more in the future, but which is a nice little segue into saying, actually, yes, we are going to have more networking events in the future. We did announce them at that birthday event yesterday. We're looking at having 2 every month. One on a Wednesday evening and one on a Friday, kind of late afternoon, isn't it? So we have put the dates of those up on our website, so people can access those and book onto those for the future. So that is a regular feature that we're going to be having, and hopefully we can continue what we started yesterday.
Absolutely. I think the first thing is your networking event. My first book club is on Friday the 5th, and my book is Counselling for Toads. So this is this kind of came to me in the networking event, that this would be a good book to go with. So so anyone who wants to come along, you can can you book on? Or
I haven't done the book club ones yet. I will get them done today. The networking event ones are on our website. So just so people are clear, we're going to have 2 monthly book groups. So one I'll run one, Kaz will run the other one, and we're going to have 2 monthly networking events as well. Kaz will run one and I'll run the other one, just to give people options. We'll see how many people turn up. And then we'll try and create those spaces together. So whoever's coming regularly, we'll decide what we want to do with them.
Yeah.
The other thing I might just want to mention, actually, just while we're here talking about it, is another group that we're setting up, or I'm going to set up as part of the Therapist Connect network, is around therapists who have got dual professions, who are qualified as a therapist and maybe something else. Could be any other profession, teacher, nurse, social worker, anything like that. If you are qualified in or working to qualification in dual professions, and you are having potential issues, or you want a space to kind of talk about some of the challenges of that, we're going to be having a monthly support meeting, which will be open to anybody who wants to book onto it. And we're going to kind of speak together and see what we want to do with that space. We haven't put the date or the details on the website yet, but that will be coming up over the next couple of weeks. So if anyone's interested, just keep an eye on that.
Should we talk through what we've got coming up? Bex, I don't know if you want to talk through this. Have we got the schedule to come up on the thing?
Just bear with me 1 second. Hold on. You know what, Kaz, I haven't got it there to hand, sorry.
Okay. Bex, have you got it to hand, or do you want me to?
Well, I know the first thing we have straight after this at 11 is the psychotherapy integration panel, which looks really interesting. I think at 1 o'clock we've got the short film screening and the Q&A with Alan Clayton.
Yeah.
And then straight after that we've got, is it called Making a Difference Through Activism?
Yeah, Making a Difference. Activism through conversation and connection.
Yeah, I'm gutted to miss that one. That looks really brilliant. I wish I could attend that one.
We've had so much interest in that event. It is fully booked now, so you can't book onto it. We have had requests already to run it again at some point in the future, which we said we will look at. Obviously, we can't commit to the presenters who are there today coming again and doing another event. But it's something we're gonna have a look at and take into consideration after today. We see how today's event goes. Could I also just mention as well, Bex, I know you mentioned Alan Clayton's film. That needs to be booked on. Okay, so we're not broadcasting that. So if anyone's interested in that, if you could go to our website and you can book onto that anytime up till 1 o'clock. It is only a short film, so it'll start at about 1:05. It's for about 20 minutes, and then Alan's doing some question and answers afterwards. So if people had a free hour on their lunch break, you can just book onto that, and it is a very short event, that one, for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, because it's really kind of it's something actually I enjoy doing in the therapy. In my life as a therapist, I kind of go to film screenings. I've been to a few kind of existential discussions where we watch films and then have chats after, and also at the Institute of Group Psychoanalysis. I've done kind of a couple there as well. So it can be really, really interesting things that do come along. But as Peter says, you need to book onto that.
And it's a very inspiring story. It is a short documentary, if you like, and it is a very inspiring story. So yeah, if people are free, then book onto that. And it is donation based, anything from £1.
Yeah.
And then, sorry,
go on.
I was just going to mention Lynn's workshop later on as well. Bit of Perfect Pacing with Lynn Findley. That's a bookable event as well, isn't it?
It is.
Can you still book on for that?
You can book onto that all the way up till 6:30, 6:45. It's our conference planner says that the events are at 6:30 tonight, but this one's slightly later. It's starting at 7 o'clock, but it should be finished around 8:30. And it's for therapists, but actually it's also for runners as well. So if you've got anyone who is interested in running, who might be interested in attending, then please pass on the details. I know Lynn would be keen for any therapists or runners or running therapists to go along to that event. So yeah, book on if you can.
And Peter, aren't you one of those new running therapists?
Well, I feel like I'm an old running therapist actually, but
returning.
Yeah, I used to run quite a lot, and then I haven't done it. Really, I should have done it during lockdown because it probably would have been the ideal opportunity since I'm home been home quite a lot. But I didn't pick it back up again. But I'm hoping Lindsay's going to inspire me to pick it up again. I bought my new trainers, so that's a start.
You're halfway there.
Yeah.
I run on a treadmill. That's not quite the same.
Actually,
I don't run outside.
Well, yeah, I think I think you're a runner. Absolutely, I think it's it's still running, definitely, even if it's on a machine.
You two are runners, and I'm definitely not. So there you go.
You're an ice skater.
I am an ice skater. Yes. Actually, those blooming ribs were hurting this morning when I woke up. But anyone who knows on Twitter, I had a fall just before Christmas when we were out of lockdown. I haven't had a well, it wasn't really serious. It was semi-serious, I'd say. Yeah, I did crack a rib and lots of bruising on my knees and things like that. But ribs, I think, well, I was told it would take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. So yeah, every now and again it just flares up. But I was quite pleased with how the Mick Cooper interview kind of turned out, because I did that Mick Cooper interview only a few days after that had happened, actually. So I did have the benefit of pain relief, thank goodness. Yeah.
When people tell you to go out and break a leg, you're not supposed to take it seriously, Kaz.
That's right, note to self. Yeah. So so Lynn later. So that should be really good. Lynn also ran a trainee talk for us just before.
Oh yeah, she did, yeah.
So some people in the community might know her already. And tomorrow, do we want to talk through tomorrow?
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, which we haven't talked about that much actually, but this fits in with what I was just talking about in terms of the networking event that we're going to be running. So there's a debate tomorrow morning around what it is like to be dual qualified as a therapist and with another profession. So we've got a selection of different people on that debate, including Dr. Andrew Reeves, who is obviously a therapist, but is also a social worker as well. So that debate is about an hour. And I get a sense from when we recorded that, actually, that everyone who was involved with that panel felt like we did the hour, but we felt like there was so much more that we could have talked about. And that, I think there was an appetite there for maybe doing it again, or broadening out those discussions. So that's a really interesting debate on tomorrow morning. And then that'll be our last broadcast debate. And then tomorrow afternoon, we have a absolutely lovely way to end the week. We have our poetry showcase and workshop, which I'll let Kaz say a little bit more about, because you are delivering that. So.
I am delivering that. Yeah. So really, really looking forward to this. It's really nice to have it as the last event of the week as well. Just for a variety of reasons, really. I think it's a nice way to end the week. I think that it could be a place of enjoyment and fun for people, but also I think it could be a place of to process emotion. I was speaking with someone earlier before this, actually, and I think because of the emotion that's there in the week, poetry has the potential to unlock some of that, which maybe we need to just kind of go with and accept some stuff that may be there. So I'll be curious to see what's there with me as well. We hope the space will be very quiet, and just basically be able to listen to everyone's work. So really looking forward to that. And for me personally, I am a poet, so it's a nice thing for me to end the week on as well. And big thanks to Peter, who's doing all the technical for that. So anyone who can't attend, don't pull that face. So anyone who can't attend in the studio, any of our poets, some of them have done recordings for us, which includes our Bex.
Yes, I have. I've recorded a poem called The Magic of Therapists Connect, so definitely pop along if you want to hear that. But I'm sure there'll be loads of lovely poems. I'm a big fan of poetry as well. It's one of my hobbies. And Vic Leeson, who is running it with Kaz, is absolutely amazing. She's like so talented. She's an incredible poet. And I'm sure anybody who does go to that event will get loads out of it. So...
And it's really important to note that it is a bookable event, so we're not broadcasting that one. So you have to be there. So please book on or you'll miss out.
Yeah. So the second part of the event, the first part is a showcase, and the second part is a workshop, which Vic and I are leading. And this workshop, I want to just say something about it. I've got 3 minutes. But I know sometimes people might want to come on workshops like, learn to write a poem or whatever, but they might feel a little bit nervous about it, or a bit nervous that they're going to have to share their work or something like that. So I just want to say this is going to be a completely no pressure zone. We've got, a good way to, just get started in thinking a little bit about this. And it's absolutely up to people if they want to share, if they don't want to share, if they want to share in the room, if they want to share after or whatever. So it's going to be a very, very safe space. So I'd encourage you that if you do want to give it a go, or if you don't write poetry, or you write it a bit and you want to know more about it, it's going to be open for all levels. Just kind of turn up and give it a go. The ticket that you need to book is for part 1 and for part 2. So we'll be running from 1 till kind of 3-ish. We'll end whenever it ends. But you can obviously turn up if you only want to come for the workshop. You could turn up, maybe an hour later or something. Or if you only want to come for the showcase and then leave, that's okay as well. But it's all one ticket. So really look forward to hopefully seeing people.
Thank you. There was just a couple of things, and we've got 2 minutes to go before the next broadcast.
We haven't actually talked practical stuff.
There's actually 3 little bits. One, we're supporting 2 charities this week. The Each One Teach One mentoring program through the Black, African, Asian Therapist Networks, and we are also supporting Young Minds. So a percentage of our profits will go to those charities. We need to say hello to all our friends in the Counsellors Staff Room Facebook group who are watching us live today.
To Zara, 4 years old.
Our youngest Therapist Connect member is in there. There was another thing. Once we broadcast this psychotherapy integration debate, which is on at 11 for roughly about an hour, that will be the end of our broadcast today. So it's a little bit shorter because all of the rest of the events later on today are all bookable. So we'll finish our broadcasts, we'll have our bookable events, and then we will be back on tomorrow morning for our final broadcast. I think I got it all in.
That was very well done. With 1 minute still left to go.
That's great.
Okay, well, are we going to have some kind of clock coming up? Or
what I'll do is I'll take us off the screen and I'll put on the debate ready to go. So yes, we just need to say kind of goodbye to everyone, really.
All right. Well, have a great day, everybody, and goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Yeah, bye from me. Have a great day. Enjoy the events.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Recording started. There we go.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to another Therapist Connect broadcast, which is part of our very first conference. For those who don't know, my name is Dr. Peter Blundell, and I'm a lecturer in counselling and psychotherapy at Liverpool John Moores University, as well as a co-facilitator of the Therapist Connect community. Our community is about bringing together therapists to talk about different therapy-related topics, and we've discussed a lot of different ideas and topics already at this year's conference. And for details of those, if you check out our website, which is running across our screens at the moment, or check out our social media details, which are also on screen. There's lots of other recorded free debates which you're able to access there, so go take a look. But today I'm delighted to welcome you to this very special panel discussion on the topic of psychotherapy integration, which includes a panel of therapists who are all experts in their field. Before we introduce our panel, if I can introduce you to our panel chair, who is Dr. Kate Smith. Kate is an academic, researcher and practitioner in pluralistic therapy. She's head of Division of Health Sciences at Abertay University in Scotland, where she also runs the Research and Training Clinic. She's also a governor of the BACP. Her primary research interests are in the process and outcome of pluralistic integration and training in that approach. So thank you very much, Kate, for chairing this discussion. I'd ask you to introduce our panelists.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Okay, I'm going to give a brief introduction to all the panelists who've joined us today. First of all, I'd like to welcome Marvin R. Gottfried, who is a distinguished professor in psychology at Stony Brook University, where he was involved in developing its graduate program in clinical psychology. In addition to teaching clinical supervision research, he maintains a practice of psychotherapy in New York City. Among his many professional accolades and leadership roles in the field, he is a recipient of several awards from the APA and other professional organizations, and most recently received the APA Foundation Lifetime Achievement Award for the application of psychology. He's the founder of the journal In Session, Psychotherapy in Practice, an editorial board member of professional journals, an author, co-author, and editor of several books, including the Rorschach Handbook of Clinical Research Applications and Converging Themes in Psychotherapy, Handbook of Psychotherapy Integration. Dr. Gottfried is co-founder of the Society for the Exploration of Psychotherapy Integration, founder of Affirm, Psychologists Affirming Their Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Family, and founder of the Two-Way Bridge Between Research and Practice. Now, I know we're online, so I'm going to have to imagine a little warm welcome applause before I introduce our next guest, who is Alberta Pos. Alberta is an associate professor in the adult clinical stream of the Department of Psychology at York University in Toronto and maintains a private practice also in Toronto. Alberta was trained in emotion-focused therapy by Les Greenberg and Jay Watson while participating in clinical trials at York University. An international trainer of emotion-focused therapy, her research centers on change processes, research particularly in applying and adapting emotion-focused therapy to personality disorders. Alberta received the CEPI New Researcher Award in 2011, was an associate editor for the Journal of Psychotherapy Integration for 2 years, and will be the next president of CEPI from January 2021. So right now, I guess, in conference terms.
Exactly.
Our third guest is Catherine Eubanks, who is an associate professor of clinical psychology at the Verkauf Graduate School of Psychology in Yeshiva University in New York. I hope I've pronounced that right. I'm not convinced I have. She's the associate director of the Mount Sinai Beth Israel Brief Psychotherapy Research Program. She's serving as the president of the Society of the Exploration of Psychotherapy Integration in 2019. And her research is in the area of psychotherapy processes and outcome, in particular negotiating therapeutic alliance ruptures. The goals of her research program are to identify therapist skills and characteristics that are linked to effectiveness across various theoretical orientations, and to explore how therapist skills can be enhanced through training. So welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us today. I'm going to start with what I think is a relatively simple question, and for our audience, I think it's an important one to start. So I was wondering if you could tell me, perhaps, Marv, if you could start. What do you see psychotherapy integration to actually be? How might you explain it to a new client or someone unfamiliar with the idea?
It is a simple question. Unfortunately, the answer is a little bit more complex. And psychotherapy integration means different things to different people. Let me just say what I think it means to me. What it means to me is that the field of psychotherapy, having been in existence for well over 100 years, according to standards of scientific development, is still pretty much an infant field. And it's an infant field because there are competing approaches. And numerous different schools of thought have been developed with its own special jargon. And according to Thomas Kuhn, this is indicative of an infant science. What I think of integration is being able to get some kind of consensus of trying to get people from different orientations to really focus on what they can agree. And it seems like an easy task, but it is very, very complex.
It's like herding cats.
Exactly like herding cats, which is an understatement. But from my point of view, it's looking for common principles, common processes of change. It's speaking with a single language. It's thinking at a certain level of abstraction where people can agree. I don't think they can agree theoretically because there are just so many different theoretical schools of thought. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, different intervention techniques. So I don't think we can find a commonality there. But at a level of principle, the principle being a certain amount of motivation and positive expectation is required for change to occur. A certain therapeutic alliance can serve a very important role. Helping a person become aware of certain things in their lives that are causing them problems, and then acting on that awareness to try to change things. So this is at a general principle level, and we can get into more and more details, but I think this is where I look for psychotherapy integration. The attempt to come up with a core, an agreed upon core as to what contributes to the change process. Now there are differences, and the differences can be very, very important, but I think I'll have more to say about that later. Give some of the folks a chance to give their views.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, Marv. I think that there's, I mean, we all know that we all tend to have our own kind of clubs that we belong to. We have our own languages, or someone is CBT, someone is psychodynamic, someone is experiential or whatever, has EFT or DBT background. And I'm thinking that when you're really an integrationist, you're the kind of person who cares less about being a card-carrying kind of proponent of one particular approach, and more about what Marv talks about as having an access to or an understanding of kind of the cross barriers processes that develop and align and help people change, you know. So I think things that he's talking about, like when Marv talks about, he's talking about the middle ground or principles of integration or principles of intervention. And so we're not so much concerned, we're more of a couturier kind of matching what the person needs in this particular moment, and less off the rack kind of just doing, you know, this in session 1, this in session 2, and this in session 3. So we have to be more sensitive to the client when we do integration. And I think that's sort of a basic principle of the integrated therapist, is they're paying attention to the client more than they are to the approach.
Yeah, I think, and this is something that's not exclusive to integrative people. or integrative therapist. But I think at its best, somebody coming in with an integrative mindset is really brings like a curiosity and a humility. Like, I know I don't have all the answers, and my approach doesn't have all the answers, and I really am interested in learning anything I can that will help me respond to my clients' needs. And even if I end up doing something that's within one particular approach, just that openness to learning about other approaches and in a respectful way, I think is really valuable.
I think that's so true.
A way to summarize what both of you are saying is that the integrative therapist has more of an interest in meeting the needs of a patient than following the dictates of
Than belonging to a club.
Right. So it's, and from my point of view, when you put it that way,
being humility.
Compelling.
So it's something about what do you, where does your allegiance lie? Does your allegiance lie to your client well-being, or does it lie to your desire to be doing the right thing? Because
I think that's really interesting. What you're talking about is different ways of being an integrated therapist. I think there's a way where I could be, I can have an allegiance to a particular approach and then I integrate other pieces into that approach. That's one way, called assimilative integration. Or we can do what's called a common factors approach to integration, which is like more like what Marv talks about, is understanding principles of change and integrating those into some sort of thing. And of course, there's theoretical integration, which is like super ambitious, which is bother, or we don't think that we'll ever reach. We do have an allegiance and an openness and a humbleness. So we're more interested in what we can't do than what we can do, so that we can look across, the field or go across the fence and see, oh, that person's doing something that I can't do. Why are they doing it? Why does it work? I think that's part of it.
And I think that leads very beautifully into the next question I was going to ask, which is what is the Society of Psychotherapy Integration? Is that its purpose? Again, Marv, do you mind if I start with you?
Well, that's what I always thought its purpose should be. And this is when Paul and I decided to talk about what we can do to get some dialogue across different theoretical orientations. It was kind of set up as an interim step toward a larger purpose, the larger purpose being meeting the needs of the patient rather than staying within our school of thought. So Paul and I would meet on this, and we knew that there was a lot of people from different orientations that were unhappy with their school of thought. They saw it as being inadequate, but didn't say anything, except didn't put it in writing. And it would usually be discussed after the conference meetings when everybody was at a party or sitting at a bar. And Paul called this the therapeutic underground. People writing the books and doing the research within CBT saying, I don't think that CBT is really the answer for everything. Well, they preface it by looking around first. And then they would say that. So this was the underground. And then Paul and I would then meet for lunches in New York City to talk about what we could do. And then he and I developed a serious relationship. We knew we had crossed the line when we couldn't meet for lunch anymore. And we started to meet for dinner. And then we got other people involved. And we decided we set up an organization where people from different orientations would talk to each other. So that was kind of the origins of CEPI. It was to open up lines of communication of those people who were silently talking to their colleagues about the limitations, and they would talk to other people from other orientations, and then maybe find out that the limitation of my orientation might be complemented by the strength of yours.
I wonder if Catherine, you've been more. So how did that?
Sorry, can you say that again?
I suppose that, you know, that's a wonderful ambition. Is that sort of continuing through? Is it?
I think so. I mean, I think CEPI is so first it's a really it provides this opportunity to really interact in meaningful ways with people from other approaches. So you definitely see a diversity of approaches there that I don't think you see in other organizations. And another element of integration that I think is being emphasized more and more is also the integration of practice and research, and the chance for practitioners and researchers to talk to each other. Because that's also a divide in our field that causes a lot of problems, and where people can stereotype the other side, you know, not be receptive to meaningful dialogue with the other side. And so I think that's also an important place where CEPI can fulfill a really special role.
I agree totally with that, because I think there's this issue around, you know, people who are academics, they think they're the be all and end all, they know everything, and the people who are clinicians think that the academics know everything and they don't know anything, and when they actually do know a lot. And it's important for clinicians and researchers to talk to each other. And I think that clinicians often, there's kind of disjunct about how people talk about research and clinical work not dovetailing enough, that somehow people are saying that research is irrelevant because they don't get anything out of it. And that's the important thing, is that we need to have clinical people telling us what to do and what to be doing that research on. And I think that's a really huge piece of the communication and the openness that we as a group have that is important. I think it's really an important piece, is the communication and dialoguing that goes on between the researcher and the clinician and the different approaches, and that we're not afraid to talk to one another. I think that's the biggest part.
It's an interesting, I mean, the idea of evidence-based practice, we talk a lot about evidence-based practice, but actually the fluidity of that you're trying to achieve there can sometimes be very, very difficult. And I think perhaps it starts at the point of training, when people kind of get their heads around the influence of research.
It's a very interesting piece, a puzzle.
Yeah.
Like I have a master's student now who's doing something on emotion as a common principle. And she's basically talking about she's examining across multiple perspectives independent of the therapy approach. So the idea is that something that's a common factor should be independent of whatever approach you use. Mm-hmm. Show up as something that's important, you know, mathematically speaking, independent of where a client comes from or what kind of therapy a client is undergoing.
Mm-hmm. And so does CEPI, just because I think our audience will not be very familiar with what you do, are these sorts of conversations sort of accessible to people, say, you know, in the UK, people who are interested in them? How does that, or maybe we'll come to that later, but these are sorts of, are there invitations into these conversations for people? I'm not sure who I'm asking, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know that in England you seem to be very CBT focused. That's all I'm aware of. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. But so we're a little bit looser, I think, in our approaches somehow.
I think the CBT is a side effect of National Health Service. But I think there are many different approaches, but probably only one main one within the service.
Exactly.
You probably agree with me there.
I mean, it is. I do want to make sure the viewers understand CEPI is an international organization. So even though you've got 3 North Americans here, we do have active members in the UK and other parts of Europe, Asia,
Portugal.
Oh yeah, all over the world. So it's definitely, and we really welcome that, and really, and we also have regional networks, which are kind of smaller local groups in different areas to try to promote local events and local connections. So it's definitely, we really welcome members and interested people from all over.
I think that's wonderful. I think one of the other benefits of engaging in CEPI is possibly that then you are within a particular culture, or within a particular country, you see what therapy is provided there, and you imagine that maybe it's the same everywhere else, and obviously it's there's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les. client comes from or what kind of therapy a client is undergoing.
Mhm. And so does CEPI, just because I think our audience will not be very familiar with what you do, are these sorts of conversations sort of accessible to people, say, in the UK, people who are interested in them? How does that, or maybe we'll come to that later, but these are sorts of, are there invitations into these conversations for people? I'm not sure who I'm asking, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know that in England you seem to be very CBT focused. That's all I'm aware of. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. But so we're a little bit looser, I think, in our approaches somehow.
I think the CBT is a side effect of the National Health Service. But I think there are many different approaches, but probably only one main one within the service.
Exactly.
You probably agree with me there.
I mean, it is. I do want to make sure the viewers understand it. CEPI is an international organization, so even though you've got 3 North Americans here, we do have active members in the UK and other parts of Europe, Asia,
Portugal.
Oh yeah, all over the world. So it's definitely, and we really welcome that, and really, and we also have regional networks, which are kind of smaller local groups in different areas to try to promote local events and local connections. So it's definitely, we really welcome members and interested people from all over.
I think that's wonderful. I think one of the other benefits of engaging in CEPI is possibly that when you are within a particular culture or within a particular country, you see what therapy is provided there, and you imagine that maybe it's the same everywhere else. And obviously, it's there's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les. Across multiple perspectives, independent of the therapy approach. So the idea is that something that's a common factor should be independent of whatever approach you use. Show up as something that's important. Mathematically speaking, independent of where a client comes from or what kind of therapy a client is undergoing.
Mhm. And so does CEPI, just because I think our audience will not be very familiar with what you do, are these sorts of conversations sort of accessible to people, say, in the UK, people who are interested in them? How does that, or maybe we'll come to that later, but these are sorts of, are there invitations into these conversations for people? I'm not sure who I'm asking, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know that in England you seem to be very CBT focused. That's all I'm aware of. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. But so we're a little bit looser, I think, in our approaches somehow.
I think the CBT is a side effect of National Health Service. But I think there are many different approaches, but probably only one main one within the service.
Exactly.
You probably agree with me then.
I mean, I do want to make sure the viewers understand CEPI is an international organization. So even though you've got 3 North Americans here, we do have active members in the UK and other parts of Europe, Asia,
Portugal.
Oh yeah, all over the world. So it's definitely, and we really welcome that, and really, and we also have regional networks, which are kind of smaller local groups in different areas to try to promote local events and local connections. So it's definitely, we really welcome members and interested people from all over.
I think that's wonderful. I think one of the other benefits of engaging in CEPI is possibly that when you are within a particular culture or within a particular country, you see what therapy is provided there, and you imagine that maybe it's the same everywhere else. And obviously, it's there's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.
There's a range.
An interesting thing too is about how we do research. I mean, even Catherine, who does a lot of research on the Alliance, for example, there's a measure of the Alliance called the Working Alliance Inventory that was developed by
Adam Horvath.
Adam Horvath and Les.